in the name of peace process, every day extorting the general public. We cannot tolerate such activities anymore. I have been in this house continuously for 19 years today, and the word pave the way, pave the way. I'm fed up of this word. I don't want to hear this word anymore. Living with the Britishers and looking at their lifestyles, our Nagas also want to imitate, because we Nagas are very good imitators, copycats. We never protested also. We cannot allow multiple governments to function under us. There are thousands of people, millions of people who are more clever than us. The publics are clever than us. They read between the lines, they question us, they laugh at us every day. Government of India must be bold enough. The legislators also must be bold enough to question the 7 NPGG, including the IM.
Honorable Speaker.
Honorable members, I now call the House to order. In continuation of our item number 6, discussion on matters of urgent public importance, I now give time to Honorable Member Mla Azo Neinu'S.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker, sir. I raise to participate in the Naga political issue, moved by the Planning Minister, Mr. Mla Azo Neinu'S, in support of the move. Mr. Speaker, sir, let me give you a very brief history of the chronology of the Naga political history. Let me also provoke the thoughts of this other scholars while provoking my own thoughts, subjected to a lot of corrections. Prior to the Britishers coming to our land, that is our Naga territory, or say before the advent of the Britishers into our territory, Nagas lived in our own villages, free from dominions, free from interferences, from all external forces. In other words, we were independent. That was before 1832. Between the year 1832 and 1879, there were almost some small clashes between the Naga villages and those Britishers who had come to our land because of the British Empire, or also because of the India-British government rule, also in order to promote Christianity. They started dominating us. Slowly, they started dominating us, and gradually they entered into our land, occupying more space and land. By that time, the clashes started to escalate, and in 1879, there was the Battle of Konoma. Battle of Konoma took place, wherein lots of lives were lost, both the Nagas and the Britishers. In order to save lives and in order to bring peace, the Britishers initiated a peace treaty, an unwritten peace treaty, verbal peace treaty. And it was agreed upon with the Britishers and under one leadership called Penhu from Konoma village, who happens to be the uncle of Asa Pizza. This was where the Britishers started dominating the Naga areas. And this was where Naga Hills was coined or brought out. In those areas where the Britishers could not dominate or conquer, it was named as Naga Unadministered Area. Also, Northeast Frontier Area, that is the NEFA. Living with the Britishers and looking at their lifestyles, like going to clubs, making merry, drinking, enjoying, dancing, our Nagas also wanted to imitate, because we Nagas are very good imitators, copycats. They wanted to enter these clubs, but the Indians and the Nagas were not allowed. So that was how, in the year 1918, Naga Club was formed. This very famous Naga Club was formed. By then, Nagas were no more free in their own land. We were being dominated. So in the year 1929, 10 January, the British Nagas subjects demanded independence when the Indian Statutory Commission, headed by one Sir John Simon, visited Kohima to get the opinion of the Nagas as to whether they would like to join the new reform, which later on became the Government of India Act 1935. This is popularly known as Naga Hills Memorandum to Simon Convention 1929. With the introduction of this Act of 1935, the Naga Hills were kept outside the purview of the Government of India as an excluded area. This excluded area came into being because of the memorandum submitted to Simon Commission. After nearly a gap of 11 years, that is submission of memorandum. In the year 1946, 2nd February, the Nagas formed a full-fledged political organization called Naga National Council, more popularly known as NNC, wherein late T. Aliba Imti was made its first president. To cut the long story short, Mr. Speaker, then came in 15 August 1947, India got its independence, followed by the very famous 1951 May 16 voluntary plebiscite, wherein 99.9% of the Nagas gave their thumb impression in favor of sovereignty alone. So this is a little bit background of how our struggle began and how our demand for sovereignty started. Then came the 16-point agreement, which was circulated yesterday. We must thank this 16-point agreement. Why? Because out of this 16-point agreement, our state was created. Or rather, the state Nagaland was carved out of this 16-point agreement. In point number 2, the ministry in charge. The Nagaland shall be under the Ministry of External Affairs of the Government of India. It is written here. And we were, till 1972, Nagaland was under the Ministry of External Affairs. But in 1972, it was done away with. Autocratically, or anything we can say, no Nagas made a human crime. We never protested also. Then we must also thank, as our earlier speaker, Mr. Im Kong, has stated, 16-point agreement, point 7. Article 371A was already there in the Constitution. But out of this point, Article 371A was inserted out of this 16-point agreement, point 7. Then came 1st December 1963 with the 16-point agreement. After a lot of negotiation, statehood was given to us, full-fledged state under the Union of India. So therefore we are the 16th state under the Union of India. Then comes the 1975, 11 November, Shillong Accord. Then, after a gap of nearly 35 long years, the problem started. After 35 long years, NNC, the lone political body, split it into two. In the year 1980, January, split it into NNC and NSCN-IM. Then, as I stated, cutting the long story short, then came in the framework agreement between the Government of India and NSCN-IM on 3rd August 2015. And surprisingly, yesterday also I deliberated on this issue. Here also, it is written in the agreement that dialogues between the two has successfully concluded. The word concluded has been pronounced or written in black and white several times. Then comes the agreed position between the Government of India and 7 NPGGs on 17 November 2017. Then, the most interesting and the most important announcement was made on the floor of this House on 17 January 2020 by the Governor R.N. Ravi himself. He stated that negotiations between the Government of India and the Naga groups over the past many years have been concluded, wherein all of the 60 members here, the Bureau, HODs, AHODs, pressmen, were all witnesses to it. The logic behind what I'm saying, Mr. Speaker, sir, is from day one, our demand was for sovereignty alone and nothing besides that. Any solution or settlement that comes about cannot be taken as the final settlement. We have no authority to sign that as the final settlement. If solution comes or settlement comes also, our aspiration to be sovereign, to get full independence will continue and nobody can stop it. Today, our support for solution or settlement is all about, to my understanding, is all about ending an era of extortion, killing, threat, intimidation, kidnapping, and so on and so forth. The general public and we are practically fed up of this unwarranted activities. So even though sovereignty is not offered to us, integration is not offered to us, today we are saying go ahead with any solution or settlement so that these activities will die. Today we talk about the price rise. It's skyrocketing. Why and how? It's because of the multiple factions today we have. And in the name of peace process, all the factions put together, their whole numbers, strength, was hardly 2,000. But in the name of peace process, Their strength has gone plus 11,000 plus today. And these are the people, in the name of peace process, every day extorting the general publics. We as leaders, are we going to remain a silent spectator on this? I want to question myself and this other house. We cannot tolerate such activities anymore. It is high time the government of the day X shows its existence and put these things to stop. We are the elected members. We have the mandate of the people. We cannot allow multiple governments to function under us. Coming to the resolution of the core committee. Resolution number 1. Yesterday, also, I highlighted my disagreement on point number 1 and point number 4. Point number 1, I'm happy the leader of the House explained as to why the word resume was coined and was inserted. And some way or the other, I'm satisfied with that. But today, our approaches, be it in resolution or not, must be pragmatic. It must be sensible. It must be practical. Mr. Speaker, sir, I have been in this house continuously for 19 years today. And the word pave the way, pave the way. I'm fed up of this word. I don't want to hear this word anymore. English is a very rich language. We can always coin another word. For that, I want to suggest something. Resolution number 1. Since we have all agreed, or we are going to agree to adopt a House resolution, why can't we coin it in this manner? To resume the peace talks in order to implement. Whatever is agreed with the 7 NPGG and NSNI. I think something sensible and practical should be inserted. Because today, just because of the fact that we occupy this chair, we think we're clever. But no. There are thousands of people, millions of people who are more clever than us. The publics are clever than us. They read between the lines, they question us, they laugh at us every day. So I want to suggest that we request them to resume the talks for implementation of whatever is agreed with the 7 NPGG and NSNI. Coming to point 4, pave the way, Mr. Speaker. As I stated, I've been hearing this word for 19 years, and I think not only me, those senior more members who are here, more senior than me, they are more fed up than me. So we can coin in words like make way or ready to vacate as and when an inclusive, honorable and acceptable solution is arrived at. Now, Mr. Speaker, sir, what is holding these two groups in winding their talks? Is it the competencies? Government of India must be bold enough. The legislators also must be bold enough to question the 7 NPGG, including the IM. and call them to a round table conference. Let them see the agreed position of competencies, process that Government of India is offering them. And those who ever agree to sign, let them sign and let them take the government for the remaining period. But those NNPGs or IM, any Naga political groups who doesn't want to sign or who cannot sign, they should also be brave enough to abrogate ceasefire and go back. Today, Mr. Speaker, sir, what I see among us, among the 7 NPGs or IM or the 11 national local groups is we lack political will. That includes me. 60 members here, including 2 MPs, we always talk about this issue. But frankly speaking, there is no political will. If political will is to come, it should be now. Because by 2023, after election, let me be truthful. After we come back, nobody would like to vacate their chairs again. So our political will should come now, including the 7 NPGs, IM, their political will should come now and they should wind up the talks in the interest of the Nagas. With these few words, I want to thank you for giving me time.